It is an honor and a pleasure to connect with you all and connect with this general impetus to do bioregioning work and to really think about the foundational transformations of the current economic system to respect right relations between the Earth and its inhabitants. Personally, I'm a Polish kid who was brought to northeastern Connecticut as a very small child and grew up as a registered alien, if that term means anything to folks. So since I was young, I've always been engaged in this kind of inquiry around, well, who are we? Like, who am I? What am I doing here? And then how do I live in the right, respectful way? Ended up doing graduate school work focused on dam removal, river restoration, really looking at the contradictions inherent in collaborative watershed planning when coalitions of organizations tried to adhere to federal and state regulations, but also are working with tribal partners, and this kind of ontological ruction between seeing Earth as relative and trying to care for Earth as relative, and then the inherent symbiosis between human ecological well-being versus a very regulatory, let's do the minimum effort, mitigate negative impact kind of colonial paradigm. And so really wrestling with those contradictions and then moving back east and trying to really engage in that type of work through the state as a state employee, but finding it kept being blocked in many ways. So being then given an opportunity to work with a regenerative watershed alliance that's tribally co-led in eastern Connecticut with the Mashantucket, Pequot, and eastern Pequot peoples got me, I feel like, on the kind of a soul path of engaging as sort of an intercultural ambassador in some ways. And that led us to get connected with the BioFi project and meet a whole number of different folks working on bioregioning in this area from different angles, and realizing that we have a rich ecosystem of minds and hearts that are seeking to do good work. But we also need the resources to really engage in a coherence building and regional coalescence, and through that model our intertribal alliance work in the Mystic River and in Pequot territory at a much broader bioregional scale so we can confront our shared challenges. I really do feel that the Earth itself is speaking through us to try to engage in this kind of positive direction, and it's just happy that there are people who are still listening. And so I feel like the more that we listen and we find others who are also listening, the more we build this kind of collective transformative movement as part of the Earth itself. We're not just an environmental group. We're not just a single interest focus. We really are thinking deeply about the interconnectedness between all human activity and all ecological processes and ecological elements. So thinking across different ecosystem types within our bioregion and really trying to understand what those relationships were in deep time and how those relationships could be reformed in the present, but then go beyond understanding and engage in a creative act and co-create with those ecosystems new ways of feeding ourselves and some old ways, kind of finding this balance between the ancient kind of wisdom that's been accumulated since time immemorial with our kind of modern techniques, understanding technologies, and find ways that are genuinely regenerative for feeding ourselves, for clothing ourselves, for having clean and green manufacturing systems, thinking deeply about what regenerative energy means, how our transportation infrastructure functions. And so working across those sectors in a mutually supportive way, I think is a huge thing that this bioregional lens kind of gives us, because now we can start to see synergistic and benefits from interdependent transformation.